Sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election, and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have three other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think it's very dishonest. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much.
If elected, would you pardon yourself?
And there are those comments from the former President Donald Trump as he begins the trek back to New Jersey after turning himself in here in Fulton County at the Fulton County Jail after the indictment by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. The former president saying it's a sad day for America, saying that this should never have happened. He also called the election rigged and stolen, sticking with that narrative and saying that Hillary Clinton and Stacey Abrams, for other Democrats, had done the same thing. He said that he did nothing wrong. He calls this entire process for this indictment and others that he is facing election interference. He said that this is a form of campaigning. He said that he and others involved had every right to challenge the election, and again, saying that he did nothing wrong here. So we are now seeing the former president make his way. He has stepped back onto that plane, and he will now be making his way back to New Jersey for about a 2-hour flight, if what holds true for him on his way down here returns true for his return back there. So again, the former president making a very quick trip, comparatively speaking, to Fulton County, Georgia here today to turn himself in on those indictments, and also making those remarks, saying that he is innocent and calling this a sad day for America, saying that this should not happen, saying that this is a form of campaigning and election interference. So again, the former president about to make his way back to New Jersey. We have seen him arriving about 7:03, and right now it is 8:18. So a little over an hour here on the ground in Metro Atlanta for this process of turning himself in. He is one of 19 co-defendants indicted here in Fulton County. He's facing 13 charges, and we will see this process still for several others as they have that noon deadline tomorrow to voluntarily turn themselves in. Faith and Jeff?
It's been about 1 hour and 16 minutes since Mr. Trump landed here in Atlanta. Has anything surprised you from what you've seen tonight and heard?
I think some folks might be surprised at how quickly all of this unfolded, Jeff. We know that there was a bit of a delay with the former president making his way to the Atlanta airport, but it seems that he really made up time on that trip down here, and everything seems to run very smoothly in terms of his travel to and from the airport in the Fulton County Jail facility, and the process that it took for him to be booked and arrested at the Fulton County Rice Street facility seemed to take place fairly quickly, about 20 minutes or so over there, before returning back here to the airport and making some very brief remarks, but about what we expected, him claiming his innocence and saying that this is all politically motivated, which he has said each time that we have seen these indictments, this being the fourth one here in Metro Atlanta, but him again saying that these things should never have happened, that he has the right to challenge what he called a rigged and stolen election, and name dropping Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor in Georgia twice, as well as his former opponent Hillary Clinton as well, saying they both challenged elections and that their results were not an indictment that he is now facing.
So much for bringing that. We do want to bring to our audience, we heard the former president make remarks that he has doubled down on, that this election was rigged. And we do want to confirm that there have been multiple recounts here in Georgia. The first recount was November 11th, 2020, the first of three, all confirming that Joe Biden did win the state of Georgia. There was no evidence of voter fraud, so we do want to make sure that our viewers are hearing the facts of the case here. But Jennifer, as we continue to look at the plane here, we know that it's going to take off any moment, headed back to New Jersey. We did have some new information confirming that former President Trump, his bond was $200,000. He did use a local bonding company, Foster Bonding Company. He dealt with a bondsman named Charles Shaw. It took about 20 minutes. It's paid. That bonding company is out of Lawrenceville. So typically he would put a 10% down, so $20,000 to post his bond and get out of there. Jennifer, I know you're not actually at the airport right now, or excuse me, not at the plane right now, but if you could just give a sense of the feeling of, him coming to the airport. This is the first time that we've seen a former president come to get arrested here in Fulton County.
It seems, Faith, for the most part, that it has been business as usual out here, aside from the former president making his way out here. The road around Signature Air looks to be back open. We see vehicles moving now. There was a slight delay right just before the former president touched down, and all through his time going to and from the jail and back here to the airport, where the road nearby was closed down and we saw vehicles having to turn around. But other than that, we understand that there was no disruption to the air process here out at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. We've seen flights taking off and landing here all afternoon and evening long, and it seems that other things have gone on as normal here, aside from the traffic that we saw as a result of the former president making his way to the Fulton County Jail. We now see these vehicles, that motorcade, departing from being near that airplane, and we expect that that plane will take off once the tarmac is cleared of all of those vehicles. And again, we have seen a reduced police presence since the return of the former president to this airfield, Signature Air. And again, the roadway outside of it has returned open.
Jennifer, I do have some new information just in. The sheriff confirming that a mugshot of the former president was taken. It has not yet been released. If you're on social media right now, you might see a mugshot floating around. That is a fake mugshot. So it has not been released yet, but we can confirm that it has been taken. Right now, we do not know when it will be made public, but that is a breaking news there, the first that we've seen here.
Yeah, Faith, and I think that's something that people have been watching. I do think a lot of folks are savvy online and have been fact-checking those images. A lot of folks saying that's not what the former president was wearing when he deplaned. We brought you that video when he was first landing here in Metro Atlanta, so we know that some of those images do not have the former president in the attire that he is dressed in today. So that's one easy way for you to check and verify whether or not something is actually correct. We've been sharing a lot of information through our Verify series to let folks know what they can look for and what type of information they can be looking for when they start to see some of these images post up online. But again, 11 Alive will be requesting, and we have requested that mugshot, and we will bring it to you. You know that we can be a trusted source for that mugshot once it is officially released by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
All right, so the headlines tonight of this, as far as if you were just joining us right now, that Mr. Trump surrendered here in Georgia around 7:30 tonight, and yes, a mugshot was taken, as we have heard. This was a day where he also shook up his legal team. Steve Sadow is now his legal representative, the celebrated defense attorney here in Atlanta. And those are really the big takeaways. We heard Mr. Trump a couple of minutes ago say that he stands guilty of nothing, that he didn't do anything else that anybody else hasn't done in American politics. So that's essentially where we stand tonight as far as, I think, the big three takeaways of what this day has brought.
Absolutely, and we can actually see it looks like that plane is rolling on out slowly. We can hear some engines starting to rev up here as it starts to make its way down the jetway.
Yeah, we can see the folks on the ground that are starting to wave those lights.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, I was just going to say, Faith, that we can see the grounds crew out here directing and guiding the plane as it will make its way out of this area for Signature Air out onto the runway to begin that journey back to New Jersey.
Well, former President Trump has gotten to experience Atlanta in a way that few visitors ever get to, and that is no Atlanta traffic at rush hour and no waiting at Hartsfield-Jackson, no security, no taxi time concerns, and right to the air. So it is the best of both worlds outside of that visit to the jail.
Dayfall when he landed, nightfall as he's leaving to make that or 2 hour flight back to New Jersey. And it's still a question to see if he will have to come back to Atlanta. For those of you who are joining us right now, we are seeing the former president's plane take off. So this was just his surrender. The Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has proposed an arraignment date for the week of September 5th. We're still trying to figure out the logistics here to see if he will actually have to physically come in person to attend that arraignment, or if it will be a virtual thing. And if he does have to come in person, we might see this happen all over again in just a couple of weeks here.
I think if I were a betting man, and maybe Zach Merchant can disagree with this, but I would guess that he will not be doing that by proxy. I would guess that he will be here in physical attendance in Atlanta. Zach, do you agree with that?
You know, I think the best person to answer that might be BJ Bernstein. BJ, quickly, you want to give us an answer that you practiced in Metro?
And I'm gonna have to relay that, BJ. Just yes or no to what I just said. We don't have your mic set up right now.
Probably no. I mean,
You think that he could do it by Zoom?
they could.
They could.
It's probably going to be in person.
It's probably going to be in person. So yes, she does agree with me, Faith and Zach.
We'll definitely
That's a long way to go for that answer, but I'm glad we were able to get it for you.
And we
today.
will definitely bring in our legal analysts later on, but we want to just make sure that, I mean, look at we want to give you all the images of the plane leaving. He's making his way down the runway here, about to head back to New Jersey. And just to put into perspective the amount of time it took. He took off just before 5 o'clock, landed here around 7 o'clock. It's now 8:30. He's already been to the jail, booked, fingerprinted, mugshot taken, back to the airport, and now he's back in his plane where he's about to take off. So he's really been in Atlanta for about an hour and 30 minutes or so. So a very quick trip. He did make some remarks, and he could be back in Atlanta, like I said, the week of September 5th. That proposed arraignment date, and we're going to speak to our legal analyst later on to talk about some of the other perspectives here. But